Hello and welcome to Around the Scene, presented to you by Playing with Rockets. I'm one of your hosts, PWR Ryan, and joining me tonight is Daddy Perino. How you doing, man?
I'm doing excellent, Ryan. And yourself?
I'm doing well. It's been a bit rough for me lately. I lost my voice yesterday, and so I had to I literally just wasn't talking because I was like I have to rest my voice as much as I can so I can actually do my shows and stuff. So I got my voice back today, so I'm good to go.
It's good to hear it. Yeah, if it makes you feel any better, I just had to switch my auto insurance, right? Because I'm establishing residency full time Pennsylvania.
Whoop whoop.
So one, it's expensive, and two,
Yeah.
tomorrow I have to go to the DMV, which if you're not from North America, or from the U.S. specifically, the DMV is the worst place on earth. Anywhere in any state, it's the worst place on earth. I don't care which one you go to; they're all terrible.
I have to go and do stuff with them too, but I just refuse to go.
And so I have to get the whole 9 yards done tomorrow. So that is not going to be a good time. But it's okay.
Speaking
You know
of
what?
speaking of driving, this is Around the Scene. This is episode 19. We are 19 episodes in. My God, feels ridiculous. I can't believe we've been doing this that long. I know I said that last week for 18, but it's like we're so close to 20. Like that's just weird to me. But you guys, something you want to say?
Oh, I was just gonna say I'm just surprised that I've been on as many of them as I have. And I remember when I first started doing this, I was like, yeah, I'll be able to do it like once in a while. Now I'm just ready to go, man. It's fun.
You're just the second host. You're just a regular at this point.
I
You're
do
no
that.
longer a guest.
Ryan, don't don't let it go to my head.
I mean, we still have to get more popular so that whenever you go to RLCS next time, people know who you are.
Of course, of course.
But guys, if you didn't know, this is Around the Scene, episode 19, presented to you by Playing with Rockets. We are here every Wednesday to give you your fix on all things Rocket League. If you like this, be sure to give us a follow and subscription here on Twitch. All help is greatly appreciated. All that support we love a lot. Quick shout out to our Patreon sponsors for the month of August, Father of Five and Jonesy. We thank them so much for their continued support. If you want to contribute through our Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/playing with rockets as well. I realize that I always thank patrons, but I never tell people how they could go be one if they felt like it. And so I realize that's kind of bad marketing. So people know now. This episode is being recorded live, and the only way for you to interact with us while we do this recording is to come join us live on twitch.tv/playing with rockets, like Pixelated Nerd there in chat and a couple of others. That's the only way that you're gonna be able to help shape the way the show looks as we do it. But did you watch much of Beyond the Summit this weekend?
I did actually. It was so much fun. Oh my god.
Well, that's good. Good that you paid attention, because our first bit of news is Beyond the Summit happened this weekend, and it was a resounding success across a majority of the community. Everywhere on social media, people are loving how it turned out. I personally couldn't stop smiling at it when I was watching it. I caught myself smiling so much, and it was genuinely fun to watch. It was one of the first few times that I've seen what's a high-level competition but also been as fun as that. So, I mean, it was so cool to watch.
Yeah, again, we'd sort of been hyping this up for a while, and I feel like it delivered on that hype. So
Yeah, I think so
at
too.
minimum, I am grateful for that, because it was very well produced. Yes, they were long days, but there was so much stuff going on all the time that it didn't feel long watching it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say I watched the whole thing, because I didn't.
I mean, I watched almost all of Friday, and then I was able to catch the startup for Saturday and Sunday, and then I caught the Mafia segment at the end, because I actually was surprised how much I enjoyed watching that part.
Yeah, well, that was what I was just about to say too. Is that it wasn't just the Rocket League, but it was the other stuff that they did as well that really
Yeah.
surprised me with how entertaining, frankly, that it was.
Yeah, they
I
did
think
such a good job.
I think it helps that the scene is somewhat small and a lot of the pros know each other.
Yeah.
So I feel like it definitely made it easier for those sorts of things to happen. Like they definitely had their in jokes and their comfort
Yeah.
level with one another. Like you could tell they weren't awkward about it, which was good.
No, it was really funny, and there were so many parts where like I guess the funniest thing about it is like how many memes came out of it.
Oh,
Meme Monday on the RL Esports subreddit was awesome.
yes. Do you like Airbuses?
Oh, Farah just got ripped apart. Him and CJ just both ripped apart.
Yes. Do you think you could perhaps provide context for those who may not have been able to been clued in on that?
Yeah.
What those were
So
about?
what I remember that one specifically. So for Farah, they kept making fun of him because Farah's not really he's not really a high aerial player. Like he doesn't really go for aerials unless he absolutely has to. He's a very grounded player and like he's very fundamental in how he plays. But he's really good. Like that's the crazy thing. And so people were just making like the casters and other players, they were constantly making fun of him because like he just doesn't fly very often in the game. And so they started calling him like an Airbus and stuff like that, just teasing him. And so like that was Farah, and then CJ he more so just got ripped because of one of the Mafia games. Did you see the one in particular?
Yes, at the very end.
Yeah, where like he's on his knees like crying to Turtle.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, that one was hilarious. So they're playing Mafia. For those of you who don't know Mafia, I can't explain the full rules. You'll have to go look them up because we don't have that kind of time here. But in the game, there's a Mafia, there's town people, and then there's a medic, and there's also like a couple other roles. Well, at one point, CJ as the medic says, "I'm gonna heal Jazzo," because Jazzo could have taken out the Mafia, and he decided not to when it went to nighttime for some odd reason. And he saved Turtle instead. So it came down to Turtle as town, Speed as Mafia, and CJ as medic. And you just have Speed sitting there smug as hell with CJ on his knees in front of Turtle crying. They're both screaming at each other. And
Yeah.
Speed's just off to the side laughing his ass off about this. Just looking, he looks like a smug anime girl almost. I can say for sure this whole thing, I am a Speed fan now because of this. Like some of these players, I didn't really see a whole lot of them, and I'm fans of them now because I got to see so much of their personalities. Like a lot and Fruity, those two were hilarious.
Oh, totally. I met Fruity at LAN. He's
Oh,
first
did
of
you?
all, very imposing figure, but secondly,
I mean, he's
he's
pretty
rude.
big. He's pretty
Oh,
big.
well, yeah. I mean, like I'm not small either. Don't get me wrong.
No,
But
but like he's tall and he's a little bit bigger too.
yeah, he's just big.
He's just one of those
Oh,
guys who he could definitely beat you down in a bar fight.
yeah, because I'm like, again, I'm like 6'1", and
Yeah.
not small, and I just remember meeting him. One, he's hilarious, but it was also just like, oh my god,
Yeah.
like this is a big dude, and especially it's funny because of course a lot of the pros are so young, so a lot of them
Yeah.
are just smaller in stature just because they're younger, and it's just funny to see a lot of the pros hanging out with Fruity, and then there's Fruity.
Those giant dude. No, but like I can say for sure that this whole event hit its mark pretty spot on with the idea of getting you to just know more about these pros, getting you to kind of see them in a different light, a more casual atmosphere. Like it was so perfect to the point where it's probably not just me, but I feel like a lot of people almost wish that like that's just how Rocket League was because it was just so much fun. Like I genuinely just like I was just like I said earlier, I was just like I caught myself smiling so often just because like I'd be like kind of laughing to myself at some of the stuff. Like I'm watching it alone, like nobody's watching it with me. And so it was just really funny and I mean there're just so many moments from it that I mean, you just can't really like pick them out. I mean, you can, but it's just ridiculous how great it was.
Yeah, there was a really good recap video actually that they put out there not that long
I
ago.
saw they put one out. I haven't gone back and watched it. I think I
It's
need to.
again for anyone that missed it, that's probably a fairly decent, starting point. Of course,
Yeah.
all the VODs themselves are up on Twitch, and they might have put them on YouTube as well.
Yeah, they have, and the nice thing is they have them on YouTube and they have them broken down too. So if you want to watch like the specific Mafia game where CJ and Turtle are like screaming at each other, you can go look at that one specifically. You don't have to go searching through a VOD.
Yeah, and it's really good content. Again, I'm really happy that it went well. And then we can talk about the winners too. We're gonna spoil it for everyone if you haven't seen it already. So if you haven't heard of this
Spoiler
already,
alert.
do
If you
that.
haven't been following the RLE Sports subreddit, they already told everybody what it was.
Right.
But I'm really proud to say that I called it.
Yes, you did.
I called it. NRG are the winners for Beyond the Summit, and I saw the yeah, spoiler alert, it's in the title, of course, but like also Justin's at the top of the Twitch channel, Twitch deal, and he says it too. So anybody who scrolls down far enough to find us are like, okay, they already know. This is more for the audio listeners.
True. But yeah, so of course my pick, Renault Vitality. After I picked them because I said, if you remember when I said it, I said I'm gonna pick Vitality because if I pick them, my picks always do bad. And
You secretly
they did well.
wanted NRG to win.
I no, I am an NRG fanboy all the way.
I know
Of
you
course
are,
I
which
want
was like when it happened at first, I was actually kind of surprised you didn't pick him.
well, but see, no, but it's the meta strat. I gotta pick the team that I don't
Reverse psychology
Yes, super meta. I
on the
agree.
situation.
So yes, Vitality bombed. Energy did well. I thought, well, so Frontline slash PSG. Let's talk about them for a second at this event
Yeah.
because Chaussette in particular of that team.
Oh my
Holy
god. Dude was just a monster. Through and through, Chaussette is a beast of a player. Like after watching this, like you can't convince me otherwise. He is outstanding.
yeah, he's really hit his stride.
Yeah.
In the past couple months, I would say. I mean, he's always been good, but really, like the past couple months have just been
It's
absolutely
been
sublime. I mean, he's a joy to
insane.
watch right now. He really is.
Yeah. But
That team
like
will get picked up by an org, and it might just be because of how good Chaussette is, frankly.
I mean, it's funny though because you look at Chaussette and like he's crazy on the defense. He's really solid in that regard. But like we were saying earlier, Farrah, despite the fact that he doesn't do a whole lot of air, he doesn't play a lot of aerial game. He is still so he's like so good as a player. Like his fundamentals are just so spot on that he reminds me of some of the other players like K-Dop and Turbopulsa, who they're just very adaptable players. Like they may not be the flashiest, but they're adaptable to just a very high degree, to where it's kind of hard to look at them and be like, oh, that guy's just not, he's not at the top of this. Like they're quietly up there, you know? And then Fruity, I mean, Fruity has improved so much since whenever he first joined them, I think.
Yeah, they're. I mean, at the rate that they're going, they almost have to be. When we do our RLCS, season 8.
They're one of the teams that I'm looking at predictions wise at this point because
Yeah,
they've kind of been like Cloud9 at this point, where like as of late, where they just consistently are getting these very high placements.
yeah, and they just again when you're consistently finishing up there, that's the thing, really, is because it's so hard to find in this game. It's the consistency.
Yeah.
When you're consistently up there, it's really demonstrating something. So this is definitely a team that if you haven't been paying attention to them before, do so now because
Yeah. Hop on that train while you still can.
they had a phenomenal Beyond the Summit as a team.
Yeah. No, I mean, again, they did so good. Very pleased with their results, especially when you look at all these other teams that do have orgs in comparison to them. They are now orgless, and they still are just dominating in some of these tournaments, and it's just really good to see for them. So, I mean, I hope someone picks them up soon. I think it's as good a time as any for a lot of organizations to hop in right now, such as Team Liquid, Ninjas in Pajamas, 100 Thieves. Like, all these groups have such a good chance to jump into the scene right now because there's actually plenty of teams to pick up. And now you also get the org items on top of that, which you have to think they're probably going to update the store soonish with decals for like FC Barcelona and Space Station, you know?
Yeah, definitely. The organisms I think would certainly help because now there's a clear path to monetization from the game directly. So
Yeah.
it'll be one of those things that I'm hoping that when we do get another name, it's another big name, like you said, like Liquid or Hundred Thieves or someone along
Yeah.
those lines,
Well, I mean, the thing
because
is like you have some of these orgs are so big that it's like they're not hurting for money. That I'm like, you're almost crazy to knock it in here because like Team Liquid jumps in, all the RL esports and nerds like us are just gonna jump on that and like go buy that decal right away because of Liquipedia.
right.
Not even for whatever team they, not even for like for whatever roster they get, but for the fact that like we have Liquipedia. It'd be so nice to actually like go get that.
Right, and even like if you're like a Nate Shot fan, like Hundred Thieves, come on, some
Yeah.
some of their branding for Hundred Thieves
Well,
that
like,
would look
you also gotta
sick.
think like some of their logos are so cool. I would love to see
Mhm.
that on an Octane and a Dominus.
Yeah, so take my money, please. You know what I'm saying?
Please, I would gladly give it up for your decal on one of my cars. But I
Yeah,
mean, I'm thoroughly pleased with how the event went. I think a lot of other people are in agreement that like it was just solid, and it was one of those things that it was very much for the fans. Um, and I didn't watch like the full deals for Gold Rush back when they happened because I was still newer to the scene at the time.
hmm
Back when they were bigger, and I went back and watched them, and I was kind of like, okay, like this is nice, but I liked this so much more. Like you just had like a very clear setup of how they were doing everything, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. Like it was just awesome.
yeah, and our next item on the list there, as I'm looking here, 39,000 peak viewers for Beyond the Sun, which isn't bad.
Yeah, well, especially because it was a brand new channel too. BTS Rocket League, whenever the stream started up on Friday, only had a total of like 1,000 followers when I got on the stream.
Right.
And then, like, as you watched longer and longer, it gradually just went bigger and bigger. But it's like for a brand new channel that had virtually no followers to receive the notifications for when they went live, solid performance, I'd say.
Yeah, it kind of surprised me they didn't authorize the use of the main Rocket League channel. I mean, I guess it makes sense they just want that for RLCS, but
No, I don't think it's surprising at all. I mean, Beyond the Summit, like, you got to think they want it on their stuff because, like, anybody who subscribes, viewership, ads, all that stuff,
true.
like, that all goes to them, and they don't want to, like, unless Psyonix was willing to like set up a deal beforehand where it's like, we're gonna pay y'all X amount of dollars, and then whatever we get here, we're just gonna keep. But it's most likely gonna be about what y'all are gonna make or less. You know,
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
because it's like DreamHack is on its own channel too.
Right, but doesn't Beyond the Summit also have their own like individual?
Yeah, they create like a brand new channel for every single game they go into. So like they have BTS Rocket League. It's only gonna be Rocket League. They have BTS Smash, only gonna be Smash. They have Dota, CS:GO, like all of them. They have like dedicated channels to each of them. So it's interesting how they do it. I don't know why they do it that way, rather than just doing it through like their one main channel, because they have a main channel that's just Beyond the Summit.
right.
But for some reason they go into like creating all these other ones, and I guess it's to make sure that like the fans don't end up searching and finding content they're not looking for, which like that's nice, but at the same time like it's just kind of weird. I don't understand why they operate that way. Nobody else
Yeah,
does that except them.
it's odd because especially because Beyond the Summit has a very specific style of event that they run. I'm surprised they wouldn't try to get more like
Yeah.
cross sport viewership, if that makes sense. Like if you're a League of Legends fan, you've seen Summit events in the past.
Yeah.
Maybe you haven't tried out Rocket League before, but you know what Beyond the Summit is, and you know that they're a
Exactly.
cool event. So maybe you'd be willing to give it a shot if you saw it on the channel, but now
Yeah.
you won't see it. So
And I
I
mean,
don't
I
know.
imagine they're announcing some of it on like they're probably like hosting from their main channel too and stuff. They've got to be doing things like with their Twitter account. I didn't look at their main Twitter account to see if they were doing anything with it too,
Right.
but Like they even created like a separate Twitter account for it. And I have to take back what I just said. Beyond the Summit's not the only one that just creates an account for specific games. DreamHack does that as well. I totally forgot there is a DreamHack Rocket League account as well. So I guess it is just it's probably more normal than we think. But like because like it was here and it was like a brand new channel, it feels a little different.
Yeah, well, they're lost. They're the ones that
I mean, hey,
potentially lose out, but
it's
yeah,
all on
still
them,
great
man.
event.
But I mean, I think it was an awesome event. I was super happy with it. Taking a look right now. Yeah, so whenever it first started, they only had 1,000 followers. They're now up to 55,000. So, solid growth.
Pretty good.
I think they're onto something.
Not bad.
You got anything else you want to add on this? Or chat, do you guys have anything else you want to add on this? I know we talked about Beyond the Summit for a while now.
Only quick thing I would say, it came out later during the event that I think it was Scrub himself that said it, that apparently Scrub doesn't play with air roll bound to left bumper. Apparently he still plays default control.
Yeah.
Air roll.
Yeah, he announced like in a tweet too that he like changed it. So like a more mechanically sound Scrub is on the way, which is terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the only reason I wanted to bring it up, because the thought of Scrub getting even better, because the default controls do kind of suck for the highest level of gameplay. They kind of suck. So the fact that he's just now thinking about remapping it.
Well, and you gotta think too though. He came from SARP. Him and Crow both came from SARP. Rizzo maybe did. Like a lot of the pros, or not a lot anymore, but several of the pros came from SARP, and that was the default controls. You couldn't remap anything. So that's just what they were used to, and they were already playing at this higher level with these controls, and so it's one of those things that's like, like whenever, like you probably did it too. Like I got into the game pretty far. Like I got a couple 100 hours in before I finally like tried to go change some of my controls.
Oh, easily, yeah. I mean, I would say I didn't make the switch to. I mean, so just the way that I play it personally, I have air roll and power slide both bound to the left bumper. I still have B for boost, A for jump. It's largely default, but that's the biggest switch, is taking it off the your X or your square, I think, if you're PlayStation. But,
well, because you have to have like a weird thing. You have to like do a weird deal with your thumb almost. You have to like have your finger like hovering like above finger. Almost. Yeah, you have to like claw it or whatever. Like there are a couple different things that players do.
But
to reach all the buttons is weird.
Like, right as I was getting into diamond, I think. As I was getting out of plat into diamond, and then I could never go back. Like now, like when I tell people, like one of the first things I tell them to do when someone just launches the game,
remap it to L.
Seriously, because it's so much better. So.
Same. But cool. Pixelated Nerd there in chat. We need a BTS flag antenna in game. We definitely do.
Yeah.
We definitely do. I would totally rock that. They have such a cool logo and stuff too that I'm like, I'd rock that.
I know it sucks because I don't wear the antennas though.
I don't really use it. I don't really use them either. Occasionally I'll be like, I'm feeling like a flag right now, and I'll throw one on. Like I would totally throw that on.
Yeah, it would be a nice option to have for the people that do.
Yeah,
I'll say that.
But moving on to the next bit of news. Man, we spent so much time on that. Next bit of news is WGN. The World Gaming Network 20K LAN tournament is happening this weekend. For those of you who don't know, World Gaming Network has been doing a series of qualifiers for teams of RLRS caliber and below. No RLCS teams were allowed, and what happens is they'll play, and then they're going to this LAN, the ones who qualified. At the LAN, whoever wins also then get 10K in prize money. Then they also get a full paid ride to DreamHack Montreal. When is that even happening? I don't even know when DreamHack Montreal is happening. Feels like forever since I like talked about that.
I think it's sometime late.
It's sometime in September, I think. Yeah, I believe it's in September. But so the winner of the WGN LAN gets to go to DreamHack as well. So that's a really cool deal because And the other thing too is a lot of these teams that are doing this tournament, they wouldn't be able to go out to a LAN event like this otherwise. Like I think I'm so excited to see a LAN event for non-RLCS teams. Like, because I think that that's one thing that's severely lacking in Rocket League is trying to do events like this to boost the amateur level a bit higher. Because by boosting these guys, they're going to get closer to the pro level. Pros are going to have to improve themselves as well. And I think a more competitive scene is a better scene. Not to say that Rocket League isn't competitive, because it's ridiculously competitive. It's it's like that saying for the NFL, any given Sunday, where like
Yes.
any team can win. You know, like I don't think we've had the same team win in Rocket League. I think Wikipedia actually made a post about it. I don't think we've had the same team win for like the past 5 LAN events or something. Like this, not even like they win one, they miss one, then they win one. Like it's all been different champions, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, it was after the reign of terror from Doom Toss. It definitely sort of diverged into all of these different,
Yeah,
very capable teams. So yeah, I tend to agree with your assessment there that it's good to have a tournament without RLCS teams. That's definitely a sweet prize pool to not have to go against literal pros.
yeah.
Um, I sort of wish I'd done it now. Without
You're like I should have
RLCS
gone
teams,
in on that.
hey, the more you know. But yeah,
It's been out for weeks, man.
I you can't. It's hard to be on top of everything.
I
Say it.
know. It's
And I plug so much time in this game. I'm trying to get better first, so we're doing that. But yeah, definitely good to have the LAN event. I believe it's in Canada, right? Is that the actual city?
the WGN event?
Yes.
Maybe. Yes, it's at up to 32 teams will be able to for the. Okay, so they're doing a live qualifier as well. So they have 7 teams that qualified through online qualifiers. Then they are also doing an open qualifier live at the event. So the 7 teams who qualified online, they're already in like the final bracket setup deal, and then one extra team will be able to join them from that open qualifier. It is going to be at Fan Expo in Canada. Fan Expo Canada. I don't know why I said in Canada. But yeah, they have a couple different things going on there. It looks like it's just like gaming, comics, like it's all sorts of stuff. It's kind of like Comic Palooza here in Houston, where it's just like it's everything.
Yeah, yeah. A nerd fest, if you will.
Yeah, like that's really what they should just call these. Geek Fest, Nerd Fest, like we all know what we are.
Yeah, but it'll be interesting to see the kind of quality of teams they get for that specific LAN event. That's not like it's hard to commit to like unless like like all of your teammates. Because again, like personally, like I play with people from all over the country. Really, like
Yeah.
I'm based in Philadelphia, but some of the people that I play with are from Florida, some are from Michigan, some are from even California.
Yeah.
Like
I think what's
I
gonna
wonder the
happen.
quality of the team that makes it through.
I think what's gonna happen almost is you're gonna see a couple of maybe bubble players just who all live in Canada, just make a pickup team and go do it. If that doesn't happen, then you're gonna get a kind of low quality team. I don't think you're gonna see whoever comes through this open qualifier. If they end up making it to like the final part of the bracket, I'll be kind of surprised, to be honest, just because the teams that we have going into it are all really good. Like you have, I mean, I guess the only other way that you could have, I say like they would be from Canada, but I guess like if you have a team like 72 PC Connector who decide to like fly their guys out or something. I don't know what funding looks like for them or anything, but maybe they fly Nox's, Lion Blaze, and Jacob out to that. If they're only competing against other local players, like they're going to sweep the floor with those guys, and then they'll be in it. Which then like you could have a more competitive final bracket, but I just don't know that you're really going to see anything crazy from whoever comes through this open qualifier. To be honest.
Yeah, definitely something to look forward to
Yeah.
within the next couple of weeks. I know they've
Uh,
been advertising it through a lot of the popular content creators. So
Yeah, they've been advertising it a lot, and it's been really good. The teams that are competing in this, by the way, are going to be Noble Esports. That team consists of ZPS, Alpha Cap, and Astro. Bull Send, consisting of Stokely, Dino, and Com. Upper 90 Esports, consisting of Thunda, Demo, and Buddy. And then in that's Group A. And then the live qualifier winner is going to join that group. And then in Group B, you have Linked Up, which is Skills, Joe Freshness, Sosa. Then you have Plot Twist, the RLRS team of Mektos, Corrupted G, and Taroko. That team, I'm so excited to see how they perform. That's a wild team right there. And then you also have Frontline, that team consisting of Andy, Alrez, and Brendan. And then the final team, RBG, also in the RLRS, consisting of Aeon, Seabass, and Rapid. So you got, there's really good teams. The other problem here that I see, though, is I'm looking at these team lineups, and it doesn't feel right. I feel like Group B is so much more stacked than Group A.
yeah, but that could potentially just have to do with how the qualifiers were done.
Yeah.
I don't know how they grouped it. I don't know if they just did random pool or
Yeah, I don't know how they did either, but I
if
just
they
feel
did
like
qualifier 1 here, qualifier 2 there. Like I don't know how they did it, but
I feel like that's a very lopsided bracket setup. I think out of Group A, I think that Bullsen stands a decent chance. I haven't seen the team play yet, so I don't really know too much. Stokely just came out of like a long break period that he was in and qualified for this. He was the sub for Space Station Gaming last season. So I'm like, he's a really good player. Like, don't get me wrong, and I've known Stokely for a while, but I don't know. I think that's the only team that I could really see out of Group A that would win. I love Upper 90 and I love the guys on Noble, but I just don't know that I see those two teams winning.
yeah.
I'm a little more confident in groups like Linked Up, like Plot Twist, and RBG. I mean, those are teams with a proven track record behind them that screams that they're capable and that they're consistent as a team. And so I'm a little worried about how that'll pan out, but it also could just be me.
Well, as you said, Ryan, any given Sunday. So
I mean, true story, man. I mean, that live qualifier could come through. No, I'm kidding. I will be totally impressed if the live qualifier wins, like, at all.
yeah, again, it's fairly
You're gonna have people who are gonna like sign up to do it for fun because it probably is free to enter and stuff.
yeah. So again, we'll see who makes it out of that and who completes those groups. But again, another $20,000 prize pool. It's pretty.
I mean, I'm just excited to see bubble players and RLRS players. Like, I'm excited there's finally an event for them. Like, if I had the capital, I would totally do something like this. But I would probably do something more like, I wouldn't do like a live qualifier entry. I would just have like 8 teams that qualified and shit for it. But like, I mean, I'm just happy that there's finally a minor league type tournament where RLCS teams are banned, because I think that too often, and Rogreg said it on the show with you too, of too often you have the prize pools, it's finally a big enough prize pool, and then you have RLCS teams willing to join in because it's big enough that it warrants their attention, and they just mop the floor with everyone. And you don't get to see enough of these teams that are kind of rising stars and stuff, you know? Like, I think, like, Rogreg's team, Cleveland, like, they're extremely good. They've been killing it in our tournaments, and it's been crazy to watch them and see the synergy that these guys have. And as good as they are, and as happy as I am to see these guys performing so well, I still don't know that you're going to see them beat a team like NRG, like G2. And it sucks because you have a really good team like that who is going to have to compete in tournaments like the rival esports ones for this prize money. And it's like, okay, you guys as pros already get that like per month just from your contracts.
Right.
So it's like it kind of like I get whenever I listen to the podcast back for that episode, I picked that out because I agreed with it on a lot of levels.
Yeah, and it's good that you know again, it's good that they're getting this exposure because we do sort of have this gap, right? And it's something we've talked about before. We have this
Yeah.
gap where, like, there are the professionals, the people who play this game for a living, who are understandably really, really good at it.
Yeah, I mean they've sunk so many hours into the game.
But then, it's hard to keep up with them because, like, again, like teams like G2, NRG, Remote Vitality, Frontline when they were with PSG, like they're getting like it is literally their job. They're getting
Yeah.
paid to do this every single day. Like to keep up with that without getting paid for it as well
Yeah.
is brutal. So you have to have these sort of, you know, events and tournaments where you help bridge this gap where you say, okay, like you've put the time in and you've put the effort in and you've gotten good.
Yeah.
All right, let's see it because here's a $20,000 event and those other guys at the real top, can't keep you down this time. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And so I'm just super excited for it. I can't wait to see how it pans out. Um, these teams are so good. Like I just can't wait to see it. But we're gonna move on to our. Oh well, actually that's it for the Rocket League news. We only had 2 items, but somehow we stretched it this long. I have no idea how. You and me just know how to talk, man.
Sure do.
But we're gonna move on to the roster shuffle. I don't want to spend too much time on some of these, just because personally I don't know some of these teams very in depth. Some of them are EU based, unfortunately, and again, I'm still trying to familiarize myself with that side of Rocket League, so I don't know too much. If you know anything about these teams, like feel free to kick it in, but otherwise, like we'll just kind of race through some of these. There's only one that I really think I want to spend time on.
I agree with you, and I know which one, but let's go through it.
Yeah. So first bit of the roster shuffle is Jesse is no longer subbing for Dignitas, and he'll be joining Vitality as their sub for RLCS Season 8. It's kind of funny that like you just see these people keep leaving Dignitas. After watching BTS, though, I think that Astral might be a good answer for them.
Yeah, Astral definitely had a good event. For Jesse individually, I was surprised to see that he's still subbing. I would have thought that this season would have been his time to really try and make.
I don't think so. I don't think you're gonna see him ever really try to make an RLRS run.
No, you think he's just gonna go content creation?
I think he's having too much fun with it. Like every time he streams really often, and I think that he's just having a lot of fun with that, and I don't think that he really cares too much about the competitive side anymore. Like obviously he still is a competitive player, like he's able to play at a very high level. For them to be like, "Hey, we want you as our sub," like I mean, that's pretty good. Like you have to be a considerable skill to be able to be a sub for any team. So I think that that's really good for him. Like he still is an extremely talented player, but I think he's having too much fun with streaming on Twitch and stuff. I don't think you're gonna see him do that again.
Too many classic Jesse Youngles.
But like that's the thing too, is like I think he just enjoys kind of like doing this more memey, just doing content creation, stream stuff. Like the community loves him. So like he doesn't need to be a pro for the community to keep like supporting him, you know?
Yeah, and you can do it without the pressure,
Yeah, like right now, like he has fun with the game. And I think that a lot of people like that.
Yeah, and he probably has more fun with it than a lot of people at his level. So
yeah, I'm willing about that.
I can attest to that.
Yeah. Moving on to the next one. Hado, Zole, and Spuda will be teaming up for RLRS. This is a North American team. Hado and Zole, kind of surprised they're choosing to team up with Spuda.
Spood hype.
Yeah, Spood hype. But like Spuda's actually a good player. Like despite what a lot of people like, despite the fact that like he's like a meme guy and a lot of people know him as that, like he's actually a good player. Like he's been on the top 100 leaderboard and stuff.
Yeah, Spuda. First of all, Spuda is great for the scene.
Again, he's another content creator that like he's just great to have.
Yeah. I think they have a real shot.
You think so?
with 7 spots open in NA, yeah, I could see them getting in.
Yeah, I guess with the 7 spots, it becomes much more possible and stuff. I
Um,
mean, I don't know. I still don't know
again,
that I see it.
it's difficult to really make a prediction because of course we haven't really seen them play together.
Yeah, there are a
But
couple teams that I've seen with more results that I think would fill up the spots before them, but
I think they
I
could
don't
sneak
know.
in. I do think they legitimately have a shot to sneak
Oh,
in.
I think anybody could sneak in again, like we were saying earlier, any given Sunday. It's
So
Rocket League. You really have no clue how it's gonna end.
that's that's very true. So yeah, that should be an exciting one. Definitely, they'll definitely get a good fan base behind them, cheering
Yeah.
them on to make it through. Because again, I know Spuda, as you said, sort of takes this game. You know, he has definitely sort of like a meme, content creator
Yeah.
thing going on. But
I mean,
I
he still is a good player, and I think a lot of people
and,
overlook that at times with him.
and I think he still has a lot of competitive drive too.
Oh
So
yeah,
yeah, that'll be a team to look out for.
for sure. Moving on to the next bit. Doomsy, Meaty, and Nyx team up for RLRS. This is a European team. They'll be under the name Granite Gaming, so you guys can keep an eye on them. Doomsy, it's so funny. I keep seeing his name, but like, it feels like ages since I've seen him in the pro scene. And like he's just like
Yeah,
there in the bubble scene. He keeps grinding it out. But like it just feels like ages since I've seen him in the pro scene. Like he has a name,
yeah.
he has a move named after him, for God's sakes.
The Doomsy dish.
Yeah, like it's just crazy.
I think it's just it's another one of those situations. There's a couple of players like that who are in the bubble scene who have
Yeah.
been near the top in the past and have sort of dropped down and they're just sort of like around.
Yeah.
Again, another team that'll have some fans backing them because of Doomsy. I don't know that much about the other 2 players on the team, but
Yeah, and again, it's stuff like that of why I need to just study up on the EU side a bit more.
I know it's hard though.
It's hard keeping yourself familiar with more than one region, to be honest. But moving on to the next bit, Calyx, Breezy, and Blurry are teaming up for RLRS. This is also an EU team, if I'm not mistaken. They're going to be under the name Juveniles. I could be wrong. I feel like this is an EU team though.
It is an EU team.
Okay.
This is the Breezy Flick, if you've ever heard of that.
I've heard the Musty Flick. I've never heard of the Breezy Flick. What the heck is that?
It's I'll let you YouTube it after the.
Okay,
after the show,
you'll
but,
have to show me that.
But the thing I'll say about Breezy, and I'll take Turbo Pulse's word on it. When Turbo was streaming for his NRG announcement,
Yeah.
when it first came out, he was just playing doubles in EU, and he queued up against Breezy a couple times. And the one again, if you're gonna get a comment from anyone, Turbo, he's playing and he's got Breezy on their team. He goes, man, the one thing I won't miss about queuing ranked in EU is I thankfully will not have to play against Breezy anymore. So if that doesn't say something about his ability, I don't
Now
know
he's
what
just gonna face against Musty,
Yeah, but again, Breezy's a very mechanically talented player. I don't know that much about the other 2. But yeah, the name recognition definitely comes from Breezy and the Breezy Flick.
Okay.
That's a good team. Another one that I think has a shot.
Good to know. And then Sicky, he was on. I think he was on Icon with CJ and whoever their other teammate was. He's moving over to the Renegades in OCE. So that's a move that just happened. And then the final bit of roster news. This may actually take up the rest of our time, to be honest. This one is Drippay is moving back to Australia. He's no longer a part of EG.
All right. Yes. So that was the
For those of you just tuning in, that was my wife coming home to greet our puppies.
Always a good time there. But
Yeah.
hey, nothing like the golden greeting from the dogs. But yes, Drippay moving back to OC. Sort of expected at this point. He pretty much all of the options in NA had been exhausted, I think, for him. It'll just be a question of where he goes back to.
I'm just so sad for the guy.
Yeah, kind of a sad and crappy end to it, really.
Like, there's only a few times that I've been like legitimately sad for players. Like, when Kronovi got dropped from G2 and when Jacob got dropped from NRG. Those are like a few of the times like I've been like legitimately sad for a player, and like I'm legitimately sad for Drippay. Like this sucks, man. Like you drop your entire like you pick up your entire life and you move over to a different continent, different country, like expecting all these things to kind of come your way, and like it just doesn't pan out at all. Like
Yeah.
to an extent, like I look at EG and I'm just like, you guys straight up like they fucked up on this. Like we don't curse often on the show, but they did. Like it's astounding to me how they could do this to him and then be like, "Oh, like I just feel like they took so much from the guy that it's like it sucks." And it's like I like EG. I like that they're like a dedicated team to Rocket League and stuff, and I like that they want to stay in the scene. They just can't really at the moment. But it's like to do this to a player like that, like just sucks. It just sucks, like through and through.
Yeah. Again, it's odd, and the reason like that it sucks so much is because now like we haven't seen Drippay like in so long that it makes you look at it and go like, well, how good is he really? And like it sucks to have
Apparently,
to
like
see like
apparently
that.
other teams were willing to take him, but EG's price was too high. There's a Twitch clip on the
I
RL
was
Esports subreddit.
just about to say that.
Yeah, you were. But like that, when I watched that clip, for those of you who don't know, I should probably explain it. Illusion, someone asked on the stream like why they didn't go with Drippay, and he said that they actually worked really well together, and the thing was is they were asking for too much money to buy out Drippay's contract, and Ghost didn't want to leave.
Right.
So good on Ghost. I'm happy that Ghosts don't want to leave now. Like that's good for me. I'm happy that they want to stay in the scene. But like that sucks that like there's so much money that was being charged for Drippay. And I understand to an extent why they were charging a lot of money for Drippay. I mean, they had to cover his visa expenses, they had to do all this stuff for him. But at this point, like, okay, you're either gonna get this team, you're gonna buy him out from Ghost, or you're gonna sell this player. Like, if you can't buy out the team, that means that you're not in Rocket League anymore. Why are you going to hold this? Why are you going to hurt this player who did so much? You know? Like, he picked up his whole life. Like, I understand that they paid a lot of money, but at the same time, you're kind of out of that money already. Like, it's an investment that fell through. Like,
Yes.
like that's what it was. And, like, it just sucks because it sounds like, from what Illusion said, like, I think that they legitimately could have would have been willing to pick him up, but because the price was too high and because Ghost didn't want to sell their team, he didn't get his chance. And it's like that just sucks, man. Like, I mean, I just genuinely feel bad for the guy. Like this just didn't work out the way it was supposed to, and that's why I was like, I don't know that. I had my doubts, I guess, about the Turbo Pulsa deal of like after this Drippay thing, I felt like it turned the well kind of. It poisoned the well and no one was gonna want to do it anymore.
Yeah, I think the difference with the Turbo situation is that because Turbo was let go by his team, there wasn't like a buyout situation
Yeah.
necessarily. So because again, Drippay was in a weird spot because of the way EG kind of had
Yeah.
his contract held over his head, and this is part of why I think we get a lot in the scene, and this might take up the rest of our time here if we're going to go into this discussion, but
I just say let's just go into this discussion. This is one that
so
I'm like genuinely interested in.
so part of the reason I think why when Psyonix set up the RLCS the way that they did, one of their key principles and beliefs of setting it up with their system was that we wanted to give this to the players. So the spots at the highest level belong to the players.
Yeah.
Period. There's no organization, there's no nothing. It's not franchised, it's not licensed to anyone. It is if you are good enough and your team is good enough to play at the highest level, the players own the spots.
Yeah.
And I think part of the reason why Psyonix specifically set it up that way is because you see stuff like this where you have an org who takes someone and then sort of holds their future in front of them, and there's this big money contract, and they don't want to let the player go to an extent, but they don't want to, they can't find a roster to keep him with. They're not
Yeah.
picking up they're not signing a team that's currently in their LCS for him to play with. So, now Drippay's just caught. EG loses money. Drippay loses all of this time in this effort.
Yeah.
And it's like, it just, I don't know. It's sort of complex, but
Yeah.
it's part of the reason why I think it's not always, esports aren't as grand, I think, as sometimes it's always made out to be in that sense.
Yeah, and I mean,
there's a lot of stuff that happens that you look at and you're like, yikes.
Yeah. And I think this is probably one of the first times you and me have actually disagreed on something. Haha. I don't know. I don't know that. I understand like the whole Psyonix thing of like they wanted the spots to go to the players. This is one of those rare instances though where I'm not entirely sure you could say the spot belonged to the player, because Drippay wouldn't have had the spot in NA had it not been for EG. He just would have had his spot in Australia, which he wanted greater. And I mean, I applaud anybody who wants to aspire for more. Like, good on you. Like, you're aiming for greater heights. Like, that's what everyone should do, especially in a sports oriented environment like this where you are aiming to be at the top. The problem, though, that I see is like, again, this was an intercontinental exchange, like, or not exchange, but an intercontinental move. Like, this wouldn't have been his spot if it hadn't been for EG. So it's almost like I almost don't feel like it was the player spot. I feel like it kind of was the org spot. But I think like this, to an extent, I think it was really dumb of EG to just be like, oh, we're a premier organization, we don't do minor leagues. Okay, cool, I guess, for sticking by your guns like that, but also like, way to screw over this guy,
It doesn't help your players, but that's what I mean. It's because EG makes that decision.
Yeah.
Now it's sort of created this mess, and it's like, again, I don't think EG is necessarily wrong for thinking that way.
I mean, it's how they view their organization at the end. It's their organization, it's their money. Like, I get that. It just kind of is like one of those things that it's like, okay, for a team that's really dedicated to Rocket League, this just kind of like scummy almost. Not scummy. It's stupid to me, I think. Like, if they really worked hard on this team, I think they could have easily moved right back in RLCS the next season.
Well, and I think that's what bothers me about it too, is that I think if they had just stuck with it and they had given it a little bit more time to flesh things out, I really think they could have bounced right back up. I really do.
Same.
But are you going to sit there and wait for however many months? And depending on the result, are you going to sit there and wait that long for them to do it? These roster moves oftentimes take time. We use Vitality as an example of that. Vitality, when they first got together, they were awful. Then they waited, they stuck it together, they figured it out, and now they're world champions. So, I'm not going to say that EG, I think, could have been world champions had they stuck together, but I do think they could have made it back into the RLCS. But your org didn't want to play minor league ball, and so now
for one season, really. Like, the thing is too is a lot like, and I'm with most of the people of like, the talent has been increasing steadily and steadily. Like, teams like Cleveland, teams like RBG, teams like Plot Twist, and all them, like, they're all very good teams that I can easily see making it to RLRS, then moving on to RLCS. But at the same time, like, they're not. EG wasn't. I didn't view EG in the same light that I viewed Splice. I never felt like Splice was a high caliber team that was going to go win worlds or really do much of anything in RLCS. I still think that EG had it in them to be able to do a lot of damage in RLCS and be a good team. But I don't feel like there was enough time for them to really do anything, unfortunately. And like, it sucks that it worked out that way. And like, I mean, just at the end of the day, like, Drippay got the raw end of the deal on this, and like it sucks. But at the end of the day, too, you know he's gonna go back to OCE. He's gonna get picked up by an organization, and he's gonna come back with a vengeance.
Totally. There's actually an interesting question though. So has EG actually released him? So he's going back to OCE, but
If he's moving back, they have to have. There's no way they're keeping
but,
him.
see, I find that interesting because then why?
Like he's moving back. Like I highly doubt they're like. I don't think there's ever like an official announcement saying like, oh, like we're dropping Drippay, but like they did make an official announcement saying like he's moving back. He made the announcement saying he's moving back. Like,
Okay, so
I guess they keep him on payroll or something. Like, I just don't understand why you would do that though.
but then why not sell him? If you're gonna
No, but like
let him go
that's
back
my
to
thing
OCE.
too. Is it's like if that's what you're gonna do, like you should have just sold him off to Ghost. Like they would have been willing to pick him up at least.
Yeah, and you
Like
could have given him something.
Illusion and Memory said that like he worked like Illusion even said that like he worked well with them. Like Shock and Atomic were only like slightly better. He said he was like only a tad bit better. Like Drippay easily could have come in and taken that spot, but EG just wasn't willing to like give him out for less. And so it's like, okay, if they didn't drop him, like, okay, you're willing to lose more money on not having a team, like that wouldn't make sense to me. So like I feel like they have to have dropped him.
But so then they're still paying him?
No, I feel like they just have to have dropped him. They may not have said outright that like they dropped him, but they said he's moving back.
I know.
Like if you look at his stuff and he still has EG all over the place, then maybe he is, but I don't think he is.
Yeah, and again, I don't think there's necessarily enough time to really go into it, but it's just it's one of those things like you just look at the decision making and it's like I don't like it from EG, frankly. You know, they were kind of put in a tough spot. I get it. You know, you have a brand of having very talented teams, which is true, by the way. They don't just say that just to say that. A lot of their teams in other esports are like world contenders. So, you know,
Yeah.
they're not lying when they say things like that. But, you know, you stick to this brand and this ideology, and then what? Is it ego? Is it pride that gets in the way of saying,
Yeah.
okay, hey, Ghost, our player seems to work with your two players. Just send us, you know, a couple grand. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know what they were asking for, but
I have no idea. But, you know, send us some cash, you know, and okay, he's yours.
so okay, I'm taking a look at their Twitter real quick. It says in their official or the CEO statement, it says no. Okay, never mind. I read that wrong. No, he still has like EG in his Twitter profile and everything. He's got a banner that says he's still part of EG. Maybe they are still paying him. Maybe they are.
So then is EG going to pick up an OCE team? Is that what we're looking at? Because that's the only thing that makes sense then if that's the case.
Maybe no, because they said they're putting RL on pause. I think like they understand that OCE and Sam aren't at a level yet to where they're going to be world champions, and so I don't think that if you're this premier organization like EG, I don't think you're looking at Sam or OCE, to be honest. But I mean, he still has everything in his profile, so either he forgot or they're still paying him, and I highly doubt he forgot.
Yeah. I don't know. I can make a lot of speculation, but
I think you can speculate all day, to be honest. I think that it's one of those things where it's like you just don't really know like what exactly happened
and what
or
their
like
plan
what is
going
going
forward,
on.
because
Yeah.
I would have thought, you know, when we were talking again, this has been a topic that's come up repeatedly on this show. When we've talked about this situation in the past, we've always said, well, they're gonna buy out Ghost, or they're gonna pick up the birds and the bees, or they're gonna, you know, do something with an enemy
Yeah.
team, and they just haven't. So it's like, well, what the heck is your next option? So you're letting Drippay go back. Okay, fine. So then are you dropping him? Well, then why didn't you sell? Oh, you're not selling
Yeah.
him, so you're going to form a team around. Oh, but you don't want to buy a team that isn't going to be competing for Worlds, so you're not going to be picking
Yeah.
up the OCE teams. But
Like
he's
that's
in
my
that
thing
team.
too. Is like I would have almost rather like gotten some money for him than just like said I'm gonna take a zero, like I'm just gonna take a full net loss. Like I would have rather have been
Yeah.
like, Ghost, you guys are willing to buy him out? Like, okay, let's work out a deal, and like y'all are going to take him. We're going to agree with y'all on something here. But like, I don't know, it just yeah, it's confusing because it's just like, yeah, now they took like a full net loss on everything they did for him, and it's like,
The
I
more
don't know. At the end of the
the
day,
more
like I just don't think anybody's ever gonna know.
the more that I think about it, the less sense that it makes. Just
No, like that's my thing too. Is like the more we've had this longer this conversation's gone on, the more I'm like, I just don't get it. I don't get it through and through.
yeah, I think I sort of talked myself into a circle there because I'm like, eh, their decision tree seems to be going nowhere. If that makes sense. Like,
Yeah, no, that's what it feels like. And like like when we had this conversation about PSG too, is like it just felt like it was a decision that kind of like didn't ultimately make a whole lot of sense until we came to the conclusion of it was probably that contracts were up for renewal, they couldn't come to an agreement. That made sense then. But at the same time, it was still a thing of like, okay, that's not the org then, that's more the players, which I still don't know that I agree with. But it's just, yeah, you can have these conversations all day long, but I think like it's just it's one of those interesting things about Rocket League and esports in general is just how the player organization relationship works. Because it's not quite like traditional sports. Like you don't trade players, like they don't really go into like they kind of go. They don't really do trades though. They go just like straight into free agency. That's it. Like, and you'll have teams like in sports where it's like, okay, we'll trade you this really good player for like these three minor-ish level players who could be good, could maybe not though. They could be flops, you know. And like you don't really see that in esports, though. You don't see these like one for one trades or one for three trades or anything like that. It's just pretty much like, okay, we're picking up this guy. This guy's out of here, and like they just go into free agency, and then someone may pick them up. They may not be picked up. And thankfully, though, for Drippay, he is a really talented player. He's been doing a lot of stuff while he's been in North America. I would be surprised if he's not a better player now after experiencing the higher level of competition here in North America.
right.
So I think he's going to go back to OCE. He's going to have a lot of experience. Someone is going to want to pick this guy up. And whoever does is almost guaranteed to go to Worlds next time because Drippay is just that good of a player in OCE. Like, he blew the competition away all the time. That's the only reason that Drippay was really picked up to leave OCE is because he was just far and away the best player there.
Yeah. Well, it's been a long time since we've seen that
Yeah.
kind of Drippay. So I'm hoping for his sake, when he goes back and gets this all sorted out, that he can find that form again and
Yeah.
put it out for the world to see. Because yeah, otherwise it just kind of feels like a large waste of time, which is sad, really. Especially
Yeah.
for the first intercontinental transfer of any player in Rocket League. Like it
Yeah.
was such a huge step, and it's basically just gone all the way back to square
Yeah.
one. So
The difference between him and Turbo drops very short after Turbo took the very first championship they play in.
yeah,
So
right.
Turbo, I'm not so worried about. Turbo, the other difference between him and Drippay too, though, was the fact of like Turbo's already a very established player who three-time world champion. Drippay didn't really have a whole lot of accolades behind him going into this. Turbo does. And so I think that Turbo is going to find a lot of success with this team. I mean, again, very first tournament they playing together as a team, they win. Like, that's pretty awesome. Like, it's a pretty good indicator of where they are as a team.
Yeah, and Turbo also didn't have an organization that was held him under contract and didn't want to sell him
Yeah,
and restricted his
exactly.
offer. So yeah, but as we're wrapping to a close here, I know we're basically almost out of
Somehow
time.
you and me always fill the time,
I
man. I
know,
don't know
I
how we
know.
do it. I really don't. I don't know how we do this all the time. Because I was sitting here looking at the notes, I was like, oh, we're going to have nothing to talk about. This was like one of the episodes where I was like, we're going to have absolutely nothing to talk about. Sure enough, man, you always make it happen.
I do what I can, but I just wish we could end on a more positive note. So
Yeah.
well, I'm gonna try to let's inject one positive thing before we sign off with Rocket League.
Cool. What do you got? I'll give you something if you got something first.
I think that with how successful this Beyond the Summit event was, I think it'll translate actually into some of the RLCS viewership and numbers, because I think now we've seen so much more of these pros that you're going to have fans a lot more dedicated specifically to specific teams.
Yeah.
Especially the groups that went. So I think this upcoming season of RLCS will be the most watched and the most followed of any RLCS season we've had in the past. So that is my optimism injection for the end of the podcast.
I think so too, and again, it was just so much fun. If you haven't watched Beyond the Summit, if you haven't watched any of it, go and watch it right now. You will not be missing out on anything. You're going to be so happy you did. If anything, if you don't feel like watching a whole bunch of Rocket League, just go watch the Mafia portions of it. They're hilarious. Oh my gosh. Like I was dying laughing on my couch at CJ screaming at Turtle on his knees. It was so freaking funny. Like it was one of those things that I was just like, top tier content right here.
100%.
Oh man. But guys, thank you very much for watching. If you like this, be sure to give us a follow and sub again here on Twitch, or give us a follow or sub on any podcast services you are listening to us on, or youtube.com/playingwithrocketsrl. Man, 19 episodes in the book. Next week we have episode 20. We are going to be trying to bring on a guest next week, but we want to know who you guys want. So I'm making a Twitter post. Go follow us at PWR_leagues so you can see when I make that post, and you'll be able to let us know who you want to come on and be our guest for the 20th episode, because I feel like at the 20th episode we should probably have like something interesting, you know?
Hey, I'm very interesting. Thank you.
We're both interesting people, but I feel like we should have on someone whose opinion people haven't heard.
I like that. Okay. I'll concede to that.
You'll concede to that. Okay, good. Perino, what plugs you got, man?
Follow me on twitch.tv/Perino. After all of this Rocket League discussion, I'm probably going to go play Minecraft now. For the first time. There you go. There's my plug. That's it. That's all I got.
Okay, he didn't give you much to go off of, but if you're on youtube.com/playingwithrocketsrl, you'll be able to check out all of his other links because they will be in the description.
Sorry.
It's all good. But thank you guys very much for joining us. You can follow me at PWR_Ryan. You can follow him at at Perino TV. I don't know why I say PWR every time. It's a habit at this point.
You want me on staff.
You know, I do. I want you to join us on staff. You be more than just a host, you know?
Yep.
But we'll be back on Monday with Launchpad 36 over on twitch.tv/Coral Sword. We'll be in studio for that and all that good stuff. But guys, thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate you watching and listening. And as always, it's been a pleasure to have you. Take care and enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you next time.
See you guys.